Just about everyone knows George Orwell's 1984. It's, the ultimate warning against totalitarian governments. But what if that all-powerful state wasn't the only thing Orwell was targeting? Today, we're going to look at this masterpiece through a completely different lens.
Right, so let's just jump into this pretty wild idea. We've all been taught that this book is a political satire, and it is. But what if that's only, like, half the story? What if Orwell's real target, hidden right there in plain sight, wasn't just a political regime, but the entire structure of organized religion itself? For decades, all the talk has been about Big Brother and how the book is a critique of places like Stalin's Soviet Union. And look, that's totally fair. But we're about to peel back a much deeper layer here, one that, honestly, most people have completely overlooked. So that's our goal here. We're going to dig into the pretty compelling evidence that 1984 isn't just political. It's also a profound and very deliberate religious satire. We'll look at how Orwell literally used the language and structure of faith to build his terrifying world. So how do we even make this case? Well, it all starts when you begin to decode the absolutely uncanny parallels between the world of Oceania and the way organized religions are often structured. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's start with the world itself. In 1984, the globe is split into three massive superstates that are always at war. Now, some scholars have pointed out how this kind of mirrors the three major Abrahamic religions. It's not a one-to-one thing, for sure, but this three-part division of the world, it really sets the stage for some much more direct comparisons. And this is where it gets crystal clear. Just look at the party's hierarchy compared to a religious one. At the very top, you've got Big Brother, this all-powerful, totally unseen God figure. Below him, the inner party acts as the high priests. Then you have the outer party, who are like the devout, true believers. And finally, the proles. They are the uninitiated masses. It is a perfect, chilling mirror. And look, Orwell doesn't even make you guess. He just comes right out and says it. The inner party member, O'Brien, tells Winston straight up, "We are the priests of power." He's saying it right there. In their world, power is God. The link couldn't be more explicit. We all know that incredibly sinister slogan, right? Big Brother is watching you. It's the ultimate symbol of surveillance. But hang on, just flip the meaning for a second. In a religious context, the idea that God is always watching you isn't supposed to be a threat. It's a comfort. It means someone is looking out for you, caring for you. Orwell just masterfully takes that comforting religious idea and twists it into this terrifying tool of absolute control. And think about Winston's torture. It's not just a brutal interrogation. It follows the exact steps of a religious confession. First comes penance, where he admits his sins. Then mortification, intense physical and mental suffering. And finally, restoration, where he's made pure again by learning to love Big Brother. It's a complete, twisted ritual of purification. And where does this purification happen? In Room 101. There's a fascinating parallel here to religious ideas of hell, especially something like Dante's Inferno. Both are these places of ultimate suffering, but they're not just about punishment. No, they're designed to purge and purify the individual, to basically burn away the old self. The party's control gets into every part of your life, even your relationships. And a lot of its rules sound like they're pulled straight from a strict religious order. Celibacy is praised. Family ties are less important than party loyalty. The whole point is total, all-consuming devotion to the organization. Nothing can distract you from your commitment to that higher power, whether it's God or the party. Okay, so we've got all these parallels baked right into the book. But here's the big question, right? Was this all intentional? Did Orwell actually mean to put this critique of religion into his novel? Well, let's see what the man himself had to say. So get this. According to Orwell scholar John Rodden, Orwell once told a classmate that he subscribed to the Catholic press. And why? So he could see what the enemy is up to. I mean, wow. He didn't just disagree with the church, he studied it like a general studies an opposing army. He was learning its mechanics so he could critique them. And Orwell's feelings about this stuff weren't just intellectual. They were forged by his own life. He was raised Anglican but drifted towards atheism as a young man. The real turning point, though, was the Spanish Civil War. That's where he saw, with his own eyes, the Catholic Church working hand in hand with fascist regimes. For Orwell, the church stopped being just a religious group. It became just another authoritarian power structure. And here it is. This might be the most powerful piece of evidence, coming straight from an essay Orwell wrote about his childhood. I was well aware that I did not love him. On the contrary, I hated him, just as I hated Jesus. That is not just intellectual disagreement. That is a deep personal animosity that absolutely shaped his entire worldview.
So, when you put all this together, you realize Orwell's critique went way beyond any one church or religion. He was warning us about something much more fundamental, something deep in human nature, our instinct to worship power itself.
Orwell was terrified of this thing called power worship. He was worried that the habit of religious devotion, that act of surrendering your own critical thinking to some higher authority, could be so easily transferred. From a god to a dictator or from a church to a political party. And this wasn't just a one-off idea for him. Just think back to his other famous novel, Animal Farm. Remember Moses the Raven? He's always telling the other animals about Sugar Candy Mountain, this amazing paradise waiting for them after they die. That promise of a heavenly reward, it keeps the animals docile. It stops them from rebelling against the miserable lives they're living right now.
And that right there is the core of his warning. Once you teach people to bow down, once you train their spine to bend for one authority, it becomes incredibly easy for them to bend for any authority. The habit of unquestioning faith, Orwell believed, makes a whole population vulnerable to totalitarian control, no matter what form it takes.
So 1984 is so much more than just a dystopian novel. It's this timeless warning about our own psychology. It's asking us to really question the systems we give our faith to, whether they're political, social, or religious. And that leaves us with a really important question to think about. Where in our own world, right now, do we see Orwell's warning about unquestioning faith playing out?